We are live on why 20 years of experience, 20 plus years of experience is not getting you hired. I mean, it's a brutal, liberating truth. Okay. So many of you guys are getting ghosted, and I'm going to talk about like what we can do instead. So as you're coming in and joining us live, go ahead and drop in the comments where you're from. And I also want to know at what point you are in your job search. Maybe you were laid off and you've been looking for more than 6 months. Maybe you've been looking for less than 6 months. Maybe you still have a role, but you are searching. I want to know in those comments there. Go ahead and drop that in there, and we are going to get started. I'm hoping this is going to be 20 to 30 minutes long. So hang on tight, take some notes, right? So you guys have decades, like decades of proof. You've led teams, you've built tons of things, you've led through chaos, you've saved companies technically from themselves, and you've survived every corporate trend from Six Sigma to metaverse to now all the AI stuff, right? Your resume basically reads like this highlight reel, and yet nothing. You get these automated rejections from bots, right? There's silence where there should be callbacks. You have junior recruiters who, I love you recruiters if you're watching, who weren't even born when you closed your first deal, telling you that you're overqualified, whatever that even means. And here's the thing is this isn't bad luck. It's not ageism, though that is a real thing. And I talk about that in other classes and stuff that I have. And I'm going to tell you something. It's definitely not the economy. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. But it's something that is far more fixable and far more uncomfortable for you to hear. Okay, guys, we all need to realize and accept. I think many of us realize, but we don't accept it, that the hiring system has fundamentally changed. And most of you guys as experienced professionals are still playing by the rules of a game that ended about a decade ago. Okay, so this short masterclass is going to show you exactly what went wrong and exactly how to win in this new game. Okay, are you ready for it? Because experience, guys, this wisdom that you have is proof of what you've done. But here's the thing, is the hiring process, it actually asks a very different question entirely. What are you going to do here and now for us? Okay, so are we ready to dive in? There's going to be a handful of parts here. Thanks for joining in, guys, as you're watching. Okay, so part one that we're going to go through is a very uncomfortable, what do I want to say, like diagnosis. So let's start with a question that's really going to sting. Seriously, this is going to be really uncomfortable. So when was the last time you fundamentally changed how you present yourself professionally? For most of you guys, okay, and I'm actually going to put that into the chat here so you guys can see that question because it is real, okay? It is absolutely real here, okay? So when was the last time that you fundamentally changed how you present yourself professionally? And for most of you guys, the honest answer is not since I last needed to. How many times have you had to actually do it? And you think about, why would we? My absolute favorite question when I was working in corporate was, why should we change that? It's always worked. Does it? That's the same thing for your career, your professional career. When you're inside an organization, your work actually speaks for itself, right? Your reputation precedes you. Promotions happen through relationships and results, not some 30-second ATS scan. But then we have the job search. And when that begins, suddenly you go into this black hole and you're invisible, right? Who here has experienced that? I think if we're being honest, all of us, okay? And here's the absolute cruel irony at the center of this decade-old problem, if not more, that the very depth that makes you incredibly valuable, also makes you very hard to hire, right? That very depth that makes you such a valuable asset also makes you hard to hire. Companies want someone who can solve their complex problems. But here's the thing is their hiring systems are built to filter for pattern matched keywords. They want a seasoned leader, but their salaries then cap out before your expectations. They say they want this strategic vision, but every single interview questions asks about execution details from 5 years ago. So what's happening is you are applying to a system that wasn't even designed for you. And here's the thing is the first step to winning is admitting that. And then is accepting it. Guys, do you know, I'm going to give you some facts here. Okay, very hardcore data facts. 75%, 3/4 of all resumes are never seen by a human. Yet we keep applying, right? It takes an average recruiter 6 seconds for a first glance at your resume. And here's the thing, since 2019, guys, there is 3 times as much competition per role. Per role. That's massive, right? So I'm going to list off, there's going to be 5 reasons why your experience is working against you. Okay, and this is not to depress you, it's to be real. Okay, so here's the first one. Your resume is reading like a history book and not a business case. 20 years of bullet points, guys, is not a pitch. It's an archive. Hiring managers, hiring decision makers, they don't need a chronicle of your career. Yes, they ask for it. That's in the application process. They're going to need it for legal purposes and stuff. But what they need to see in 30 seconds or less is that you solve a specific problem that they, not you, they are losing sleep over. Okay? Depth is becoming noise when it is not curated properly. Does that make sense? Okay? So we don't want your resume to read like a history book. I don't know about you, but I don't like reading history books. I don't. I want something that's going to be relevant to me now and that's going to resonate with me so I can remember it. Okay? So that's the first one. The second one is that, here's the thing is, I know you guys, we all need money, right? We all do to survive. But what's happening in today, 2026, is you're pricing yourself out before the conversation even starts. That's number 2. Salary expectations, previous titles, all these years of experience all trigger unconscious anchors in these hiring managers and decision makers. And often before they've even assessed a fit, right? Because take a look at your LinkedIn profile. It says VP director, managing partner. And a hiring manager who has a $90,000 budget, they stop reading. Not because you're wrong for the role, but because their imagination literally ran out of zeros, guys, okay? It ran out of zeros. They're like, I can't right now. Why would I even engage? They gave me this budget, okay? So the thing that's pushing you out, number 2, is that pricing yourself out before the conversation even starts. I'm not saying don't put that in your resume and on your LinkedIn. I'm not saying that, okay? We're going to dive into it. Number 3 is you're applying to postings instead of having conversations. Okay, remember what I said right at the beginning there is 3/4, 75% of all jobs out there, right? What's happening? I said it. Okay, job postings are always have been and always will be a lagging indicator. Okay, and today in 2026, they're almost irrelevant for any senior level roles. Okay, there is a lot of research that backs this up. Okay, if you're a data person, let me know in the comments here, and I am happy to send you all of the data on this and all of the research. It shows that between 70 and 80% of positions at the leadership level that you guys are all at are filled through networks well before they're ever listed, if they're ever listed. So if you're spending all of your time or most of your time on these job boards, okay, what's happening is you're fishing in an empty pond. That's what's happening, okay? And number 4 is your personal brand. I know there's a lot of talk about this, okay? And there has been for years, but your personal brand is literally frozen in the past. Look at your LinkedIn summary. What does it say? Okay, you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, accomplished this, accomplished professional doing blah, 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 right? Basically list things in a summary. Great. Okay. But think about this. When was the last time you published a thought? You shared a perspective, or heaven forbid, demonstrated your expertise publicly. Guys, that gets you a leg up, by the way. If your online presence is just a timeline of your old jobs, then what people are going to look at the senior level is you're not a thought leader. You're just a database record. The professionals who are getting hired at senior levels are visible. Okay? Not just experience. I know everyone's like, I don't want to be on LinkedIn and I don't want to do all this. There's other places too, right here on Substack. Okay? You can be visible and you can go in depth on your thought leadership. Okay? So that's the 4th one. The 5th one is you're positioning for the wrong buyer. Okay? You guys are whatever it is, LLC, right? Jonathan Adams LLC, Vennessa McConkey LLC, right? That you are a set of services that is being sold to a company. And many professionals, what happens is you aim for the type of role you just left. Same title, same function, same industry, which is fine. But here's the thing, is companies that need a seasoned operator often can't afford one. Then you have adjacent markets, smaller companies, interim roles, fractional work, and consulting engagements are actually desperate for you. Your exact profile, they're desperate for. So you're sitting here and you're wondering why you're selling Wagyu beef, right, at a freaking 90, I don't even know how much it is now. It's expensive, right? At a fast food drive-through, and you're wondering why there's no takers. Right? Something that sells at like $10 a pound now, when people are wanting to buy something and are able to buy something at $3 a pound. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay, let's drop some love in the comments here. Okay? So that's a problem. That is an absolute problem here. Okay? So let's go over what the market actually wants. So before you can fix how to sell yourself, right? You guys are so many times over the years, I've heard, I don't want to be in sales. I don't want to sell myself. Guess what? You have to. But here's the thing is before you even sell your services, you have got to understand what you're actually being bought for. Okay? Companies out there, and I know this because I work with both companies and candidates. Okay? Companies are not hiring experience, guys. I'm going to make that very clear. They're not hiring experience. They are hiring confidence that a specific problem they have that's keeping them up at night will be solved. I know that sounds semantic, okay? I know. It isn't. Okay? This is what it means. Every single interaction, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your cover letters, your interviews, needs to answer one question first and foremost. You ready for it? What exact, expensive, recurring problem do you eliminate? And what is that proof? Okay, I'm going to drop that in the comments for you. What exact, expensive, recurring problem do you eliminate? And what is the proof? Does that make sense? Is that ringing any like bells? And you're like, what do I do? What do I solve? You have to be specific. And when you lead with your years, your titles, your scope, what's happening is you're answering a different question. You're answering, how long have you been in rooms like this? Now, while that is absolutely interesting, it's not compelling enough. Compelling when you're in the room is saying, you know what? I cut supplier costs by 23% without sacrificing quality in a market contraction. And here's how. Okay, you have to show the here's how. What's the story behind it? Okay, so we've moved decisively into what I would like to call the outcome economy. Okay. Hiring managers, decision makers, especially at that C-suite and director level, what's happening is they're being held accountable for return on headcount like never before. Every single, you guys wonder why the the job search process takes so long and you've got all these interviews and it takes weeks and months on end, because here's the thing is every single hire has to justify itself in measurable terms to the business outcomes. Every hire. Otherwise they're wasting their time and money. And in today 2026, if you haven't noticed, we don't have a lot of time and money, right? But this is actually very good news for you. Do you know why? Because outcomes are exactly what your 20 plus years of experience produces. The problem is most people, and I say this because I love you guys, okay? Most people bury their outcomes in processes. They hide results inside these job descriptions and they confuse busyness, activity for impact. Okay? So here's what I want you to do is I want you to stop saying, I'm responsible for managing a team of 12 people across 3 product lines and in 2 countries or whatever it is. That's great. That is something you do. But what I want you to say is start saying something like this. I built a cross-functional team. I built a cross-functional team from scratch that shipped 3 product lines simultaneously. We delivered on time, 18% under budget with 0 attrition. Holy crap, the first one is like a job description. That second one is a business case for hiring you. You have to create this business case for the company to hire you. Okay? So this is what it actually looks like to hire now in 2026. Okay? We have to understand that mechanics matter. Okay? In all the other things that I teach and whatnot, mindset does precede mechanics. But in this class right now, I'm going to teach more about mechanics. Okay? So this is exactly how most of these senior level VP director roles are actually filled. So here's the first step. Internal candidates. The first question always is, do we have someone inside? Do we have someone we can train? If so, yeah, done. Okay, done. Let's focus on them. If not, we go to step 2 and we look at trusted referrals. The hiring manager, decision maker sitting at the table, they ask people in their network, they say, do you know anyone? I literally just had a call with a previous colleague last week. And as soon as they heard that they needed someone, he reached out to me and was like, hey, you know this industry. I am looking for someone for a regulatory affairs role, and I'm looking for someone in quality management in this highly regulated environment. You know this. Who do you know? They don't have the posting up yet. Okay. The referred candidate usually skips that screening queue entirely and gets a direct conversation. This happened with my husband too. Back at the end of 2025, I had one of my hiring managers reach out. Hey, I think your husband would be great for this role. Can he just go ahead and send me his resume? He moved up 2 interviews. He skipped the whole ATS thing, got moved up past the first one, moved into the second one because of knowing someone, a trusted referral. Okay? Then what happens is they go through an executive search. So if they don't have that trusted referral, if they don't have an internal candidate, they're going to go through an executive search. This starts getting expensive. Okay, for these senior level roles, a recruiter or a headhunter is then engaged. Okay, they work from their existing database, then they network, and then networking, and then job boards are second. Okay, then if they're still not getting anything from that, or it's taking too long, then they're putting a job posting up. Okay, that's what's happening. But it's the last place a hire is made from, guys, is that job posting. So when you're seeing that, that's data, that's information saying, hey, you know what? We don't have anyone yet. We've looked in all these other places and we're not getting what we're needing. Okay? And what happens is it's generating the most competition for the fewest actual opportunities. So if you're living in that step 4 right now, you're not just at the end of the queue, you're fundamentally in a whole new game, and a much harder game, by the way. Okay? So I want to go through with you what the new rules of this game are. Okay? And this is where my masterclass earns its name. Okay. This is not just a diagnosis. I'm giving you the prescription right now. Okay. So there's 7 fundamental shifts that senior level professionals, those VPs, those directors, okay, need to make to go from invincible to irresistible in that easy yes. Okay. So this one, the first rule is my absolute favorite, because when I'm on calls with you guys are like, I just need anything. I'll take anything right now. That's the problem. You have to niche down to stand out. Everyone's like, how do I stand out? Niche down. Don't say I'm going to take any sales role. Don't say, you know what? Any industry is fine with me. I just need something right now. The counterintuitive truth is that the more that you try to be broadly relevant, the less relevant you actually become. When your pitch is, oh, I can do many things, I'm a jack of all trades, blah, 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 blah. Every hire manager assumes you're not exceptional at any of them. We know that when you come in with, you go into a company, you're going to have a catalog of stuff that you're capable of doing. You don't lead with that. Okay. You focus in and you niche down on the specifics, right? Think about someone who's selling a sales guy, a really good one who's selling one. They have a catalog, all these products, all these services, but they pick 1 or 2 and they focus on it. Okay. So pick a problem, own it, and be the person who is known for solving one specific high stakes challenge exceptionally well. Right? You can say, I've got a friend, and I don't know if he's on here or not, but like Dominic Vogel. Okay, and I'm going to call him out because he works in cybersecurity. And he's very specific. He's like, I help manufacturers with their cybersecurity problems. And he has a couple other things in his profile too about like going into more detail. He can literally, and he has helped tons of people, but he is right now focusing on manufacturer because he knows there's a high stake challenge that he knows how to do exceptionally well. You could say, I help mid-market manufacturers reduce operational costs during scaling. Okay, that's infinitely more powerful than experienced operations executive. What does that even mean? Okay, your 20 years of experience plus gives you the depth to own a niche credibly. Use it. Use it. Okay? And I don't care if you are changing industries or you have multiple times, or you've changed jobs, you still have depth to own something credibly. Use it. Okay, so that's rule 1. Rule 2, rebuild your resume as a problem solution document. In the past, guys, a resume has been this career history, chronological career history. Years ago, before anyone really started doing it, I started doing it functionally. Because a company is not, again, hiring based on, hey, you had this title and you worked at Google. They'll see that, okay, fine, as a reference. But they're hiring for a specific set of skills and experiences. Okay, it should be, the resume should be a curated evidence file that proves that you solve a very specific type of problem. And every bullet point should follow this formula. It should say, here's the situation. Here is the action, action 2, and here is the quantified result. That is incredibly important, guys, to be able to do that. And it's not easy, but guess what? It's a heck of a lot easier than going out there and applying to these job postings that are already at step 4, the last result. Okay, so cut everything, and I know you guys are going to message me and email me about this, but cut everything from more than 15 years ago to a 1-line acknowledgement, or remove it entirely. Delete these job duties. I hate reading resumes that look like a job description, guys, and I think we all do. It sucks. I'm just going to tell you, it sucks. No one wants to read that. It's not enjoyable. It's not exciting. It's not something that you want to remember. Okay? Cut that out. Replace things with outcomes. If a bullet point doesn't include a number, a percentage, or a dollar figure, rewrite it or remove it. Okay? So I want you to do like your own little resume audit. I want you to count the number of action verbs on your current resume. And then now take all those action verbs, let's say you have 23, okay? And count how many results follow each one. If the ratio is less than 1 to 1, your resume is a task list. Okay? And I know this is going to be an argument too, but your resume should really be 1 page per decade of experience. Okay, max. All right. So most of you guys are really only going to need 2 pages. 3 is a red flag. 4 is definitely a disqualifier. Definitely. Okay. So that's rule number 2. Rule number 3 is build your network before you need it. I know many of you are going to be like, oh my goodness, I'm already in the job search and I'm trying. Keep trying, keep doing it. Okay. If you're in a job right now and you're starting to think about looking for something else, build now, because the absolute worst time to network is when you're actively job searching. That is the worst time because every one of us smells desperation. It repels the exact people who could actually help you. Okay. Like when you're reaching out, like think about this. You just applied for something or you're thinking about applying for it and you reach out to the hiring manager or the recruiter, or whoever's attached to it or whoever's, linked to that company. What's going to happen? You reach out. Oh, hey, can you take a look at this? They smell it. Okay. So the right move to do is invest consistently in your network when you don't need anything. Right? Share insights. How many times do we sit there and we see a movie or something like that? We're like, oh my goodness, we start texting the person, someone that we know. Did you know this is the best movie ever? I saw the movie David 3 times with my family. I messaged anyone who had young kids and even teenage kids and said, you've got to go see this movie. I didn't get paid for that. I was sharing something. Okay. Make introductions to people, add value freely, guys. So when you do actually need something and you need to say, hey, I'm exploring what's next, your network responds with warmth instead of, oh man, they're going to be texting me. Right now, today, I want you guys to identify 20 people in your network that you haven't spoken to in over a year. Don't ask for anything. Just reconnect. Check in. Share something useful. This is the most important job search activity most people never do. This is something, guys, that AI can't do. Can't. Right? Being human. Okay? Rule number 4, be visible, not just available. Okay? I love to hate the open to work sign, guys, because there is a profound difference between being open for work and being known for your expertise. Okay. Senior leaders who are getting hired in this market today in 2026 are usually the ones who show up in people's feeds. Remember that guy that I was a colleague with? I still am. And he reached out to me last week. He's like, you show up in my feed every day, Vennessa. And it's not with updates about job search, but it's genuine perspective on the problems that their industry is facing. You write, you comment with insight, you share what you know. We're right now on Substack. This is the perfect place to do all those things, right? Share what you know. Share a problem that you have experienced in the past and how you walked through it. People are doing that with Claude AI on Substack. You can do it too with your expertise. Okay, so instead of posting these open to work banners, instead of sharing generic motivational content, hey, job seekers out there, you can do it, just keep going. Instead of commenting with these like affirmations, treating LinkedIn with like a digital resume, being visibly desperate or very bitter. My goodness, it was like the end of 2025. It was crazy how much bitterness there was about the job search. Instead of doing those things, I want you guys to publish just short, specific takes on industry challenges. If you're in the dental industry, there's a lot of things that are going on in there right now that they're struggling with. Post about that, not about how bad it is, but your specific take on that. Write posts that teach something in like 5 paragraphs. Share case studies from your career. Comment with these genuine analysis that adds to the conversation, not just good, cool, awesome, right? Tag people who are thinkers in your industry. Okay. You don't need, and this is what people think a lot, especially on whether it's on Substack or it's on LinkedIn, wherever you're at, you don't need thousands of followers. You need the right 50 people to see you as an expert, and that's it. Think about this. You engage with the right 50 people and they see you as an expert, they're going to tell so-and-so, who's going to tell so-and-so, who's going to tell so-and-so. And that expands your network. They're going to come comment on your stuff. They're going to come message you. Big difference. than having thousands of people that you never interact with. Okay. Rule number 5. Remember, we have 7 rules here. Okay. You got to expand the playing field. If you've been searching for 6 months and nothing's working, I'm just going to tell you, if you've been searching that long, nothing's working, barely getting interviews, it's not the market. Your target is wrong. Consider the full landscape of how your expertise can be deployed. Think about this. And people, they always cringe when I tell them this. There's lots of fractional and interim roles. Companies need a CFO, a CMO, a CTO, a COO, right? But they can't afford it, or maybe they don't need it. They don't need a full-time executive, okay? Fractional work often leads to full-time offers, pays well, and it keeps your pipeline active. Think about when you first went from college or went, into a field and you got an internship. What happened? You worked there. They knew your work. It was for a short period of time, and most likely you had the opportunity or option to get hired there. I know the first company I worked at, I did an internship with while I was still in college. I'd come back right on breaks and in the summer and stuff like that. They offered me, because of how well I worked, full-time role when I graduated. It's the same. You can still do that later in your career. I'm not saying go out there and work for free, but these fractional and interim roles, there's nothing wrong with them. Okay. You can also do consulting. You don't need a firm. You need a very clearly defined offer and 2 or 3 anchor clients. Your experience is exactly what these small and mid-sized companies are willing to pay for by the hour or project. Okay. Look at smaller companies too. A 200-person company where you'd be the most experienced person in the room is often better than an opportunity with a VP slot in a VP slot at a Fortune 500 company with 400 internal candidates. Okay, I think you guys are you're costing yourself so much by not looking at some of these things. Okay, rule number 6. I really should have put this at the beginning, but master the conversation before the interview. Hiring happens in conversation, not in applications. Someone doesn't just look at your application and be like, boom, they're hired. You have conversations. And what happens is most of us are, for lack of better terms, out of practice at having these strategic career conversations. These informational interviews are your most powerful tools, and they're most underused. Not asking for the job, but asking for perspective. Hey, I'm thinking about my next move, and I'd love 20 minutes over lunch to hear how you see the landscape in X space. That's a request almost no one refuses. Hey, I've seen the work that you've been doing, and I have just enjoyed watching some of the things that you've been doing in this industry. And I'd love to get on your calendar for 15 minutes just to hear what your perspective has been. It puts you in front of decision makers without the pressure of a formal application, guys, okay? So you got to practice your story. Have a very clear, compelling 2-minute answer to tell me about yourself. That starts with the problem you solve, and it moves through your proof and ends for what you're looking for next. It should be so natural, guys. It doesn't sound rehearsed. It's so well crafted that it could not have been improvised. It is so well worked through that AI, it wouldn't touch it. Okay. And then the last rule, rule 7, is address the elephant directly. Ageism, overqualification, salary expectations, the things we talked about at the beginning here. These concerns are real. Almost every single conversation, I have notes upon notes about these 3 things in my conversations with you guys. But here's the thing, is they're only fatal when they're unaddressed. Don't wait for interviews to raise these questions. Own the narrative. Anchor yourself in them. If you're applying for a role with a lower title than your last, address it head on. Hey, I want to be direct. I'm intentionally targeting this level because I want to build something, not manage something that already exists. That is self-awareness. And what it does is it disarms the concern and demonstrates confidence. You guys are like, I'm losing my confidence. This is how you get it back. Okay? Disarm the concern. Okay. And here's the thing on salary, I want to address this very specifically. Remove ranges where possible. Okay. Get into the conversation first. This is why I say don't look at those applications and stuff. Let your value speak before you're talking about price. And then be open, genuinely open to structures, equity, bonuses, signing incentives. Those things might actually bridge the gap. Okay. So this next section here that I want to quickly dive into is what I call the 90-day resets. Okay. So we talked a lot about strategy, but here is the tactical plan. If you implement nothing else, do this. Okay. So let's talk about the first 30 days, what I like to call your foundation. The first week, you're going to define your niche. Yes, niche down. Rewrite your resume from scratch, not the old version. Start literally with a blank page. This is where we get into so much trouble. And I want you to start with, if you don't do it, sorry, the problem I solve is, the proof is, then build backwards. Okay? Then I want you to overhaul your LinkedIn. Your headline should describe the value you deliver. I mean, take a look at mine, guys. Okay? Not your last title. Your summary should read like an executive brief about what you do and why it matters. Okay? Put a case study in there. Put a publication, something. Then I want you to move on to like week 3. And I want you to identify your 50 target companies. A lot of us, we do that first. And then we scramble with the resume and LinkedIn. Okay. I want you to identify your 50 target companies, not postings that they have open, companies where you would have your skills would have the highest impact. And then map out the people at those companies. Okay. Then you begin the outreach. Not applying. Please don't look at the applications and the job postings. Conversations. Okay. Have genuine conversations, connections each day. No ask. No ask. And then you're like, Vennessa, I just wasted 30 days. Nope. Nope, you didn't. You have to have a strategy. You have to have a plan. You have to have things in place before you start doing the thing. Okay. The next 30 days is activation. This is when you're going to start publishing. You're going to put these, very substantial posts on, on Substack here, on LinkedIn, okay, about your domain. And this is non-negotiable. I have clients argue with me. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I said, okay, what are you doing? Okay. The goal is not to be viral and have thousands of people like your post or see it or whatever. What it is, it's credibility. So when someone Googles you, when someone searches even on AI, I had someone say, hey, I found you from an AI search. I'm like, oh, awesome, right? So that means I'm doing the thing. Before they check your profile, they should find, when they check your profile, what happens when they look at Google, they look at AI, they look at your profile before meeting, they should find clear evidence on how you think and how clearly you know your field. Does that make sense? So you're going to do that for 30 days. Okay. And what happens is these conversations are going to give you market intelligence, warm relationships. If you're in sales, it is so much better to have warm relationships and referrals than it is cold relationships. Okay. You're going to redirect your energy from all those formal applications entirely into a warm network. Okay. And by those last 30 days, I'm telling you, you're going to have this list of genuine advocates. That's what you want. You want someone to advocate for you in your career. People who've heard your story, people who believe in your value. Then you're able to say, hey, you know what? If anyone in your network is building something in this space, I would love an introduction. At that stage, in a warm network, specific requests are going to yield specific results. Okay, that's going to be important. All right. And I have a whole 60-minute edge guide that goes through these things, that walks you through. Okay. And like I said at the beginning, mindset comes before mechanics. You can have all of this tactical advice. You can have every piece of advice in the world. Okay. But all of it is so incredibly useful without this final piece. For any of you guys who have been in the job search for a while, it's incredibly humbling, right? It is designed, accidentally maybe, accidentally, maybe, to make the most experienced, accomplished, capable people feel small. Automated rejections, silence, ghosting, interview feedback that makes no sense. But here's the thing is none of it is a verdict on your worth. You have God-given experience, wisdom, skills, talents. Okay? And this is what I see in the professionals who actually break through. What happens is they stop performing desperation and they start demonstrating confidence. It's not arrogance, it's confidence. They are anchoring themselves in what they can do and who they are. Because guess what, guys? There's only ever been and only ever will be one you. One you. And this kind of confidence comes from genuinely believing that you have something valuable to offer and being selective about who gets the benefit of it. Okay? You get to choose who gets to benefit from you. Okay? The market doesn't owe you any kind of recognition for your experience, by the way. But you owe the market a clear explanation of why it needs you. So the shift from please hire me, please, I'm open to work, please hire me, I'm going to lose my house, I'm going to whatever it is, okay? To let me show you what I build here. That's huge. What happens is it changes your tone, your questions, your follow-up, your confidence in salary negotiations, your willingness to walk away from bad fits. Okay? What's happening here is, and this I believe is in everything we do, is you have a communication problem. And the coolest thing is communication is the most solvable problem there is. So the 20 plus years that you have, it's not a liability. Okay? When it is packaged correctly, it is an extraordinary asset, guys. So the work is in the packaging. And that's where you have to start. Okay? So I want you to go back through this session here. And I want you to say, I'm going to do a quick little review. Okay? I want you to write your niche statement, right? I help whoever achieve this by, because if you can't write it, you can't sell it. I want you to pull up your resume. I want you to find the last 3 bullet points with no numbers and rewrite them or delete them. I want you to message 5 people in your network that you haven't spoken to in a year and just reconnect. Okay? And then I want you to start crafting a post about one thing you've learned in your career that most people get wrong. Post it. Don't post it. Okay? And then start working through the companies, not job postings, where your experience would have the highest impact. Okay? This is how this starts, guys. Okay? So everything in this class that I just taught in, what did I say, it was me 30, 40 minutes. Okay, I'm a little over. Okay, works. But it works faster when it's built around your specific experience, industry, and goals. Okay? And so I have a 60-minute strategy session where we're going to cut through all the noise. We're going to define the niche yourself. We're going to define the niche together. Okay? We're going to sharpen your positioning. We're going to build a clear plan for getting in front of the right people. And we're going to do this fast. Okay? We are going to do it so fast that you're going to be like, why didn't I get connected with Vennessa before? Okay? And I'm not saying that to boost my own whatever it is. I'm saying it because it works. And I'm going to put that link in the comments here for you to see. And go ahead and click on and go to. And I'm telling you, it's going to work. People in the 1-hour sessions that we have, oh my goodness. I give you guys honest feedback about what's holding you back, okay? And a clear picture of where your experience has the highest market value. And I give you high leverage action points to take in the next 30 days. All right. So I hope you guys got a lot out of this. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And until next time, we will see you guys later. Sorry, bleeped out there for a second. But until next time, guys. All right.